Hi, this is Brad Monk here. Let's just let go of all that negativity, let go of all that hate, open all our senses and feel the love from the nature or the universe or wherever you get your love from. Today we're going to talk about mediumship exercises, and I'm just going to go through a few pointers with you, a few things that I've learned on the way that's made it easier for me to do mediumship. I classify mediumship as sort of like the part of a spiritual journey. And once you learn and understand mediumship, your whole world changes for you. Okay, what do I mean by this? Is that basically it's teaching you to go within, to get connected within, to work from the heart, to be able to link in with energies around you. There's messages all around you all the time. But it's only really when you quieten the mind, and that's why I created a lot of my meditations. It's when you're able to sense and see that there is messages for you from people, from the universe, from anything really. I mean, you could just even pick up say for example, I could pick up like a quartz, it's not even a quartz, amethyst crystal, and that could have a message for me. If I needed a message, there might be a question that you need to ask the universe. So, your thoughts think about things, and then you get into a situation where you're either guided or you're helped or whatever you are on your spiritual journey. So just imagine that you've created this journey of yours. You've created a pathway. And on this pathway, you're going to develop certain parts of the pathway to eventually you feel more connected, more happy, more enlightened. This is how it is with the journey. But the problem is that everybody thinks that mediumship is about just speaking to spirit, and it's not. It's not. I mean, the simplest way to do mediumship is to have a notebook. And then whenever you're in the mood for some information, and, I even write down thoughts that I've had from my brain, because what that does is it releases and helps me to understand that I have blocks and I have lessons to let go of. And so, there's so many different things and exercises that we can do, but meditation is probably one of the best and the hardest for some people. Because why? You have to let go and go with the flow. But the problem that you have with meditations is that there's some meditations are closed information. And what I mean by that is you are going down a path. You have come to a gate. Now, your brain doesn't like to be controlled. It likes to be free. So it might think that there's flowers beside the path, and there's a tree right next to the gate. And so it starts adding to your meditation, and then that frustrates you because you can't concentrate and you can't do the meditation, and it then starts, all the emotions within you starts to trying to come out, because you feel you failed again and all this lot, whereas that's not what meditation is about. So look for the open meditations, where you can add your bits to it, you can go with the flow, and some meditations might even send you to sleep. Because what it's trying to do is get you into like the alpha state, the perfect state for you to be connected. And so meditation is important, and it's so simple. I mean, you could just have a candle and then focus on a candle, a lit candle if you wanted to, as long as you don't burn the place down. You know what I mean? Or you could even say, just keep repeating peace. I am peace, I am peace, I am peace. And that gets you connected. You can imagine yourself flowing down a river. You can play your favorite music. These are all different ways to get yourself connected. And that's the key to it all, really. Your exercises should be about freeing first your emotions and preparing your vessel and doing all things that makes you able to connect, finding a quiet time and a certain time, sitting in nature. Because the first 20 minutes in nature, you're basically letting go of all the emotions, and all of a sudden, you suddenly become connected. It's like when you're on your path. When you're doing what you love or what you've chosen to do in this world, you suddenly feel connected. There's no fears and worries, because you're flowing in the energy we call the universe, or the source, and that's all within us. So what from the inside we're reflecting outwardly is then being thrown back at us. And you're going to say, what? Your vibration is created out of often your thoughts. And often your thoughts at first is your mind working with your body to get rid of blocks and lessons and programmings and emotions and negativity overload and all this lot. And if you feed that or hold on to that thought, then what you're doing is you're sending that out that you want to experience it. And so straight away, you can see how easily it is to not be doing your path. Because you're trying, you have the opportunity to let go of this stuff, but it's often that's all we think about, and that's why we get the overthinking. The brain's just trying to and the body's just trying to get rid of and start flowing again. So that's why first thing in the morning I make sure that I do my exercises in getting connected and letting go of any of my thoughts and ideas, and then I can allow what it is I'm meant to experience for the day. So back to exercises. There's all sorts of ways. You have 7 senses that you can work with. So you need to build each sense up. I mean, smell is probably not the least one I use, but when it comes, it is profound. Why? Because it's like paints a whole picture in one go. Do you know what I mean? If you could smell what the person loved in perfumes or aftershaves or their favorite flower or anything really, you know, that's a direct message and a direct information, you know. Images, you know, clairvoyance, being able to see images, you know, closing your eyes and asking them to put a picture there, or seeing a picture on the wall, or something gets highlighted in the room because there's a message in there. So there's so many different ways to connect. And the key thing about mediumship is a lot of people don't realize that they have an inbuilt mediumship. You have an inbuilt connection already there. But when you start to think on how you do it, is when you stop the flow. You put in energy to something that stops the flow. And so sometimes it's just, you know, sometimes when I really want messages through and I'm not getting them, I'm thinking, oh God, I'm putting negativity to this. Right, I'm just going to let go. If it happens, it happens. It doesn't. And you know what? It floods through then. Why? Because I've released the connection, the blockage that's allowing them to connect and give me messages. So mediumship, I see it as using your 7 senses and getting messages through all the different ways. And it's really, with practice, it becomes easier. It was frustrating for quite a while because you get a lot of people around you start telling you how to do it. I've never met so many experts on how to do mediumship who can't do mediumship. And I don't mean that nastily, you know, if they're channeling through, I always know that there's 5% for me, but I always ask my heart, because it's like confirmation for me, my heart. And so if it feels right in my heart, I know then to listen to what they're saying. If they feel they're talking from the soul and they're trying to share an experience rather than tell me what to do, then I know then that they're working or they're channeling. And so all these little secrets, all these things, and that's why I've created all my packs and my advanced packs and everything, because the more you practice, the more you exercise, the more then it starts to become more automatic and makes it a lot easier. But still, my brain kicks in, and still I get times when I doubt myself or worry about if I'm doing it right. That's human nature. And the reason why that is because you're born with the ability to want to help people, to want to do right by people. And so most mediums go into mediumship through either a trauma or a situation or a desire to help the world. And so that puts a lot of pressure, because then they try to become perfectionists and they want to do it a certain way, and that stops the flow. The message comes in whatever form it's meant to come in, and it's given in a way. I mean, the most amazing thing about it is that I've realized is that There's people that still contact me now and they say, oh, you know, that stuff that you told me was out of this world. And I'm like, I don't even remember the stuff that I've told them, because sometimes with channeling, it's just talked straight through me. But also I found out that spirit world, when the message is being transferred to the person, spirit world can add. So they can hear things that you've not even said, because you're getting it in like sort of cryptic coding type thing, I say it as. So you get it, if you get it in symbols, you know. Then the one thing that I find with people when I first start teaching them is the first thing that they go wrong with is that they get so excited and they want a clear picture, and you know, and they want to hear spirit like it's a godlike voice out there, and when most of the time it's your own, the information is transferred so that you can understand it, so it comes in your voice in a lot of senses. For a spirit to actually speak out loud is a lot of energy, because they've got to create and manifest that voice for you to hear, and it takes too long, and then they won't be able to tell you anything more. So what they do is, how I've sort of like found, because I see all the great mediums work, and they all work differently, and I'm thinking, well, okay, some say, oh, you know, you haven't got a spirit box, you know, so there's no way that spirit can actually speak to you, you know. But I noticed when I worked with animals or I worked with horses that I think there's like a universal code, and it's like you tap information into this universal code, it's translated and then passed on to the person, who then, if they're a medium or whatever, then tries to work out what is being said and then passes it in a way that the person. That's why I never really worked with guides. I did work with guides in development, but not to speak to, because I'd have too many sort of like Chinese whispers and probably not get the whole picture of what they're saying. And then you got the other fact that sometimes they're going to give you stuff that you're not meant to know about, and it's meant to be like a rose or something is meant to be given directly, because that means a lot more to them. And if you started trying to work out what the rose was and this, that, and the other, you would actually sort of, how I can say it simple terms is, you're given half a sentence, and the other part of the sentence, if you allow it, your brain fills the gap, because it doesn't know what it is. And that's why you've got to get yourself into sort of like switching the brain off and giving it a job to do, because it will try. It's born to do that way. It's born to work out what you don't know. But what you want to do is get to a state of where you're just passing the information, give what we get, we call it. And then, you know, if the person doesn't quite understand, you might have to go over a bit more information. But most of the times, the person will know what you mean or what you're saying, sort of thing. And where the people go wrong is that when they're first starting out, yes, they get this, if they're working mostly with symbol form or clairvoyance, because they're not built up their hearing ability as such. They see an image and that's it. They just give that image. But like if it was like a, say for example, a car. Now, it could be to do with the car moving, it could be to do with the wheels, it could be there's like 4 or 5 different things it could be. So what you got to do is ask your heart what the car means to you. Then you get part of the story. And then they can move on to the other part, so they can give you another image. But what people do is they get a car, and then they give, oh, I see a car, without sort of like really understanding what the car part of the message was. And then they get a tree. But what they don't understand is the car and the tree could be 2 messages. And until they've worked out what the car message was, the tree message will never make sense. And they won't move you on to the tree message properly until you sort out the car message. So once you've given like the car, and then you're given, oh, I see a car and I see a tree. The person's going, what? What? Because that was the start of a message. On both of them was the start of a message. And until it feels right in your heart, or you suddenly go, oh, that's what they're saying. I mean, the funniest thing I ever, and a lot of my students know about this, one lady gave me a box. I saw this like wooden box with a rose on top. My brain kicked in, or, you know, was that at the funeral, this, that, and the other. But no, it was Rosie's chocolates. Rose in a box, and she loved chocolates, and Rose's chocolates was her favourite. So when I waited until I saw the big picture, I suddenly understand. But if someone gave you a rose in a box, you'd be like, what's that all about? Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. So that's the way. So the exercises really is focus on quieting the mind, meditating, focus on being in nature, feeling the energies, focus on opening all your senses, focus on getting your chakras, because your chakras, if one chakra down, all 7 of them that I believe in is out of shape there. And then learn about your chakras, because the colours of the chakras can be. So, you can then go into aura work, which is basically see colours in the aura, and so how the person's feeling, and this, that. There's loads of different tools that you can utilise to get a full message. That's what I say, always work with the 7 senses, because talking to you takes a little time to build up the energy and one thing and another. But they can send images and pictures and thoughts and ideas and all sorts of things, smells and tastes, and they can send anything quite easily. The talking part takes a little bit, and that's why you really have to practice as a medium. And that's why each day you have to speak to spirit. And that's why I did my mediumship pack, because each day you have a 20-minute meditation stroke that gets you prepared and ready, opens you up to be able to receive messages, and then you actually physically speak to spirit. And what you find with that is you will develop, because each day you will evolve. It's like the pack itself. You do the symbol work, you go to the waterfall, you get your first symbol, and you find out what the symbol means. The next time you do it, you'll get a different symbol, and then you build up, and then so the more you do it, the more it becomes automatic. And because this is the key, because your brain kicks in and stops the connection sometimes. And then you have like other things like presuming. I mean, I've seen pictures of 2 ladies in a car. Now they could have been sisters, but they were lovers. But I didn't know that. But when I gave it to the person and what the car was, she says, "Oh yeah, that's me and my girlfriend was in the car." Do you know what I mean, sort of thing? So I didn't know that they were lesbians, and it doesn't make any odds to me. But you're not going to know in a lot of senses. So sometimes you have to wait until you see the bigger picture of what it is they're saying, or what there was. And it was actually that the message was that she split up, but they would get back together. So but God, I could have been working out that there was 2 friends in the car, and that was her sister in the car, and totally missed the whole conversation. And that's what I said to you. You got to wait till the full picture emerges and it feels right. Stop giving half a sentence until you find out what the full sentence is. And sometimes just giving one thing, 3 pens in the top pocket, and this guy didn't talk, and his daughter went, "That's my dad." She knew exactly. And for me, I was thinking, oh, no, I didn't get much information through there. I'm the worst medium in the world, worst psychic in the world. But I wasn't really. It was just the way they give it. Well, you don't get a lot of feedback. So if you're after getting some sort of confirmation how good you are and this, that, and the other, forget doing mediumship. It's not about that. It's about being of service. It's about helping others to connect and be guided, and to find their way in life, that's why I also see mediumship as also healing as well, because it is certainly a case that you are healing somebody, because without realizing it, you're helping them to release their emotional connection. And that is the secret to it all, really. Spirit world are there because they're releasing their emotions, or their life plan, or what it is that they keeps them to this earth. People on the earth have got lessons and playing their part and who they are. And so that is why you have that sort of connection. So that's why they come through. They come through to guide you and help you to release your emotions. And you are still connected to them. And so you're still being fed the emotions or the ancestry, which is another total different video that I could go through, of the lessons and the traumas from past lives and one thing or another that's passed down through families. And that's why we have spirit world still connected to the earth. and not all of them are what I classify as in heaven, which is basically just a different energy. It's not really anything, and I'm lucky enough to be able to directly link to that. But it certainly sends my body into what we call meltdown mode, because when you put unconditional love into the body, then it releases all these traumas and negativity and pain and stuff that you've absorbed from others or have yourself or whatever. And sometimes you just can't deal with that much amount of feeling and coming out, and get scared and worried and frightened and stuff. So, which is what's causing the earth at the moment. So back to the exercises. You are a medium already. You've just got to prepare your vessel. You've just got to get your connection. You've got to find your way of speaking to spirit, whether it's hearing, whether it's through different senses. Find your way that you enjoy doing. And don't be frightened when they take that way away from you and then try and get you to do another way, because they're trying to build you up. And so most mediums, when they say to me, oh, I've been doing it for 30 years, and I tune in and I'm thinking, you might have been a medium for 30 years, but you've not been doing it because I can tell by your energies. I can tell by the way that you connect, that you've not really built up your energy source. You've not built up your connection. You've not worked with spirit as much as you're claiming. And so you tend to find word of mouth tells you about the good mediums and the ones, but also a bad medium can give a message, because it's all about the message. The gift is the message. The gift is releasing the emotions or getting that message from spirit world. And so they will work with anybody. So it doesn't matter. And like I say, if you want to be a medium, then there's so many different ways that you can get messages. Like I say, through objects, just walking down the street. I do it all the time. I love it. I'll go, right, I'm walking to Sainsbury's and I want a message along the way. And I tell you something, billboards and things stand out, and then when I put it all together, I get my message. And it's quite tremendous. I don't do it all the time, but I do try and do bits and pieces, or I'll say to the universe, what are we working on today? Who are we helping today? What is happening today? And like I say, if you've got your little notebook, it's brilliant, because what happens with your notebook is you'll start to get confirmations. When you got a notebook or a diary or whatever, and you make notes of things that come out of nowhere, oh, I must give someone a call, or I must go to this place, or you get confirmations eventually why you should have gone to that place, why you should have spoken to that person. It's like a guidance, really. But because we're so caught up in experiencing, that sometimes we don't look outside the box. Sometimes we don't see the big picture. So that's why I always have a pen and paper, because if it just randomly comes out of nowhere, then I think, all right, just make a note of that. That will materialize and show itself, and I'm not stopping it from happening, and there'll be a reason for it. Or if I act upon it, then a lot of the times, then I get the next step or the next journey. And often it's the case is because you've actually asked for it. Yeah, you've asked for it. And that's, people go on about law of attraction, but the universe is automatically giving you what brings peace to your life. And the only time it doesn't bring peace to life is when you're vibrating not to have peace to your life. It's the opposite. Mediumship, you don't go to spirit. Spirit are actually giving you the message. And when you start to understand this, then you'll start to recognize when they want to speak to you and they want to open up. Or I only ever work now when I'm asked to. So it's only when somebody in the public asks to. I might see on Facebook, or I might see somewhere somebody could do with my help, and I sort of hint to them, and if they ask me, and then I can help them. But other than that, unless I speak to their soul and their soul agrees that I could help them, then you can't get involved in people's lives. That's the one lesson. Because even with your best intentions and everything, you can actually cause them to experience what they're not meant to experience. And so that's their journey, So Just follow your heart and try to be that energy that you would like to be and others like to share in. And you'll find the world is totally different to what you think. So really, mediumship exercises is about your seven senses, opening up, closing down, meditating, cleansing, being able to give a message, being able to share with people. You can do this without even doing readings. It doesn't have to be readings. I haven't done psychic readings for many years because I started to work more on the spiritual guidance side. And so everyday emotions and things sort of affected me more as I trained my body to receive. And so I didn't want to get caught up in that sort of energy, because I was starting to attract people who didn't really want to listen to my information. They wanted what they wanted out of the reading, or they wanted to go and tell somebody that I couldn't do it and then 2 months down the line they come back to me and go, "Oh my God, everything you said was correct." And I said, "Well, you told me I was rubbish. You told me I was no good, "Oh yeah, but my friend said that you got to try this person, and I was going to show that you couldn't read for me, but I was wrong, And I said, "Well, you're wasting. You're closing down. You're making it harder for me to actually connect with you and sharing an experience, and you're leaving me with the bad emotions and the bad stuff that is going to make me wonder about." I said, "It's not nice." And I said, and so whenever you go for a reading, anything, be open. They're not going to be spot on because it's variable information. But the more open you are, the better the reading will be, because it's easier for them. Because remember, spirit can close down the person that's giving you the message as well. So, and if you go down there and you don't really want a reading, then you could be projecting to not have a reading before you even started. So you've actually changed everything. So when you're doing like mediumship exercises, you just got to understand that nothing that you do is not part of the journey. I learned to create past life vibrational healing. I learned to cleanse homes. I learned to deal with real negative energies. I learned to learn the energies of the body and how to heal them and work with angels. And it's a magical world. Isolated world at times, lonely world at times, because some of my channeling I can't share because other people, if they're not in that sort of zone at that time, then they won't understand the message. And so me trying to share it and work it out and then see the connections, people don't, they're just like, "Steve, what are you on about?" And so it's hard sometimes because it'll show itself what it's meant to be, and 6 months down the line I'll guarantee that people will be talking about it. But for then, the information I'm getting, people are just like, "Oh, that's too new age for me. That's too whatever, And so you've just got to find them people around you that you can meet on a soul-to-soul level. I am love, I am peace, repeat. And then you meet on a soul-to-soul level, and there's nothing about the material side that you're interested in then, because you're more about sharing an experience with a person and sharing the beauty and the connection and feeling good and joy and happiness and all the things that we're always searching for, but we don't experience because we're not being those energies. And that's sort of like halfway to the enlightenment, is actually being the energy of that you wanting to be a part of. And then once you've gone from your wants and needs to this like middle ground of energy and starting, then it attracts more of the similar to enjoy and the energies that will get you connected, and then you go into like an automatic flow. So the simple part is like wanting to be happy, then the energy of happy and experience, and then you go into happiness. You go into that ultimate connection and feel just, so cool and everything like that. So if you want any more help, please message me. If there's something that you want to share or questions, message me. Put it in the comment section, or you go onto if you want to personal message me, then probably, so I'm not really got up to date with Instagram and tweets, but supposedly on Instagram you can private message me or whatever. you know, if you want to do that, or you can catch me on Facebook as well, Steve Bradshaw 7, and just message me there. I learnt through other people sharing. I learnt through experience. And so we're all here to guide each other or sharing an experience. And so my door is always open to everybody to enjoy, and that is why my mission is to get everybody connected or to experience the connection. Because once you do, you're awakened to a whole new world and beautiful world. And then you just sort of repel against the world that's sending hate your way or negativity your way. You just want peace in your life. It might be my age as well, because I'm over 50, which I keep getting reminded by my son. Thank you very much, son. But it doesn't matter. It's all about the journey. And I've had a good journey. And now it's time to share my journey. 10 years soul searching, finding out why my marriage, why my job, why I wasn't doing the things that I thought, you know, why opportunities seemed to close for me, and realizing it was my own vibration, my own creation. And when I understood that, I suddenly realized that everything was part of the journey. And so you need everything to make it complete, to make it into the enlightenment. And there's certain areas in my life that I cut out to be spiritual, and they probably didn't totally help by doing that, but it's still the journey. So even though I chose not to, it's still the journey. I'm still going to come back to the same path eventually. Okay, so in my mediumship course playlist, I've got quite a few things to experience for you. If there's any sort of subject you feel that you want me to cover, or you're struggling with, or whatever, then I might create a video just for you, if you let me know. So I built this YouTube up to help you on your spiritual journey, to get you connected, to become a medium if you want to, or just for a better way of life, or self-improvement, or just to answers. Because to have somebody at the end of an email that understands your pain and sorrow, and can share or give you something that you can go and find a way and help yourself out, is really helpful. And I have friends who do that for me, and I would like to be your friend that does that for you. Okay, so I hope this has given you a little bit of insight into mediumship exercise. I've got about 430 videos on there. They're not all professional, in fairness, but in the last year I've put them all on because they're all part of my 10-year journey and my 30+ years as a medium. And I just want to, if I could just ignite that one person to find their way in the darkness, then I've done my job. Okay, so please subscribe, and I'm trying to get up to 1,000 so I can do some live shows and interactions and stuff with you all, so that I can help you even further. I'll create more meditations and really channel whatever comes through to me to help us all on our journey. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.